This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Sean's out covering a Nissan event today, so I'm filling in, and we're starting to get a look at who the next U.S. Secretary of Transportation is going to be. Meet Sean Duffy, a former U.S. Congressman from Wisconsin, but probably better known as a personality on Fox News. In congressional hearings yesterday, he promised to prioritize regulations that provide a balance between innovation and safety when it comes to things like autonomous cars and eVTOLs. While some of President Trump's cabinet appointees have generated a lot of controversy, Sean Duffy looks like he's going to be someone to breeze through his confirmation. Acura is getting ready to launch its second EV later this year. It's called the RSX, and it's built on an EV architecture that Honda developed in-house, not on GM's Ultium platform. The RSX is a four-door crossover with a fastback design to give it more of a coupe-like appearance, and it's going to be built at what Honda calls its EV hub in Ohio. That includes the Marysville and East Liberty assembly plants, as well as the Anna engine plant, which is being outfitted with 6,000-ton die casting machines to make large castings for the battery pack, which will be part of the vehicle structure. Acura already sells the ZDX EV, which is made by General Motors at a plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee, and it says the ZDX will remain in its lineup for a full cycle, which is a bit vague, but that would suggest it's going to be there for anywhere from 6 to 8 years. Acura is also going to launch what it calls a gateway vehicle in just a few months. It's a compact crossover called the ADX, and it's going to be powered by a turbocharged gasoline engine, but that's all it announced at this time. And by the way, when Acura says gateway vehicle, it means a cheaper price to bring in more people to the brand. Great Wall Motors in China has not released its official financial results for last year, but it said it's going to post some blockbuster numbers. It sold 1.2 million vehicles last year, which is actually the same as the year before, but it expects its net profit to soar 76% to about $1.7 billion. That's pretty impressive, especially considering the price war that's going on in the Chinese market. Great Wall attributes its better bottom line to product excellence and customer satisfaction. Yeah, whatever. We think it's probably got to do more with keeping a lid on spending and getting better pricing by shifting more production to NEVs. We'll have a better idea of how it managed this when it officially posts its year-end results. Say, did you know that Chrysler will be celebrating its 100th anniversary this year? Neither did we. Maybe because neither Chrysler nor Stellantis have said peep about it. And maybe that's a sign the brand is not long for this world. Mopar Insiders reports that Stellantis stopped all development and spending on its electric car codenamed C6X, which is based on the Halcyon concept car. Right now, Chrysler only has 2 models in its lineup, the Pacifica minivan and a cheaper version for fleets called the Voyager. It only sold 125,000 vehicles in the U.S. last year, and sales continue to fall. So if it doesn't get that electric Halcyon in its lineup, you have to wonder if it's even worth keeping the Chrysler brand. And just for the record, Walter P. Chrysler officially launched the Chrysler Corporation on June 6, 1925.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teijin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.
With automakers in Europe facing massive fines for missing CO2 targets, it sounds like the EU could ease up on some of its vehicle emission mandates. And while the EU isn't backing off its goal to ban selling ICE vehicles by 2035, the EU's climate chief, Wopke Hoekstra, says it needs to better address the concerns of companies and voters about the impact of its policies. Hoekstra says, and I quote him here, "We've been too one-dimensional," which we interpret to mean that the EU put too much emphasis on electric cars. And it's not just Europe that's backing off stricter CO2 rules. The California Air Resources Board withdrew its request to set tougher emission rules for heavy-duty trucks, trains, and cargo ships. The CARB is giving up on its push to set stricter standards because the incoming Trump administration would squash them anyway. As we reported last month, Saudi oil giant Aramco is getting into lithium production by extracting the metal from the brine that's left over from drilling for oil. Saudi mining company Ma'aden and King Abdullah University are also part of the project. Earlier today, Saudi Arabia's mining minister said that the project is promising but not yet commercially viable, but it's not too far off. They're targeting commercial production in 2027. And along with ExxonMobil's push into lithium mining in Arkansas, we think it's significant that big oil believes it can be a big player in the EV segment. And speaking of EV battery materials, General Motors just signed a deal with Norwegian battery materials company Vianode to supply it with synthetic graphite. Vianode will start shipping graphite that's going to be produced at a yet-to-be-named site in North America starting in 2027. The graphite will be used by Ultium Cells, which is the joint venture between GM and LG Energy Solution, for next-gen batteries and drive units. And under the agreement, graphite deliveries can be expanded to other joint ventures. Vianode says its process to make synthetic graphite has a 90% lower CO2 footprint than conventional methods. And let's stick with General Motors for a minute. It's launching the second generation of its Ultium platform in China, and it's been modified to accommodate plug-in hybrids and e-rev powertrains, which makes us wonder if GM's going to do the same thing in the US. The Gen-2 version is still scalable, which means it can be used for different size sedans and vans and SUVs. The BEV version, as we reported on Monday, gets a 900-volt electric architecture and a 6C fast-charging LFP battery pack that can deliver 217 miles of range with only 10 minutes of charging. It also sounds like GM China is going to get a version of Super Cruise with a level 3 capability for both city and highway driving. Though GM got clobbered in the Chinese market over the last 8 years, maybe it's turned the corner. Sales have been growing for 6 straight months, and its NEV sales were up 56% last year. Meanwhile, back in the States, Cadillac also has some good numbers to report. Last year, its U.S. sales grew by 9%, which outpaced the overall market. Better still, its retail sales in California shot up 23%. That seems to be thanks to the Lyriq EV, because 40% of them were sold in California, and 76% of the people who bought them came from other brands. And that's a key reason why Cadillac is still betting big on EVs. By the end of this year, it's going to have the Lyriq, the Vistic, the Optic, the Escalade IQ, and the Celestiq in its showrooms. And next week, it's going to unveil the V version of the Lyriq. Cadillac says all those EVs are going to make it the best luxury nameplate with EVs in 2025. And it says its moves into endurance racing and Formula One are going to globalize the brand, which means Cadillac really wants to boost its sales outside of the U.S. market. And that brings us to the end of today's report. And if you like getting this kind of reporting, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel or our daily email blast on our website. Thanks for watching.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Intrepid Control Systems. Over-the-air engineering boost your game. And by Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
Developing today's vehicles, issues can happen in an instant. What good is knowing your problems without the data to solve them? Meet Wireless Neovi Cloud, your secure off-the-shelf solution, empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With wireless Nearby Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless Nearby Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.